Hey, boys and girls, welcome back to another fun and informative video book review. I, of course, am Johnny Depp. No, that's not right. I'm John Lee. And today, I'm going to talk to you about a book that is a little different from a lot of the books that I've talked to you about before, like Political Tribes or even the Anthony Bourdain autobiography. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the book Trading Bases by Joe Peta. And this book is about a guy named Joe who was a former commodities trader at Goldman Sachs who got fired and then got in a really bad car accident. And while he was recovering, he was a big baseball fan, a big Phillies fan, which is kind of like masochism. And as he was watching these games and reading about sabermetrics, which is the analytics part of the baseball community run by guys like Bill James and Nate Silver, he decided that he was going to keep himself entertained by trading baseball teams, first their futures, which is the over-unders on wins, and then games on a day-to-day basis. So he developed a model, and he goes through and he tests it through a whole baseball season during the 2011-2012 season, and it ends up working. And then he ends up moving to Vegas for the whole 2012 season, and it works again, but it becomes a little more difficult and a little less fun, and that's kind of where the book ends. So the model does work, which is interesting, spoiler alert, and there's also a lot of other really interesting information in this book about data, analytics, regression, and the trading of commodities. So let's get into my three big takeaways. Takeaway number one, there are statistics that account for luck, and there are statistics that account for skill. And if you read the wrong ones, you'll be measuring things by the wrong metrics. So using baseball as an example, examples of skill statistics would be things like strikeouts and home runs, which don't really need much luck or interference from other players for them to happen. If you hit home runs, you hit a home run. If you get a strikeout, you get a strikeout. But things like balls hit into ground plays and things like double plays vary because they're based on luck. To use a football example, fumble recoveries are another thing that vary year to year based on luck. So one of the cool things about Joe is that he has a lot of information about inside of trading floors and trading rooms at major financial firms, so he's able to show that baseball is actually much better at identifying skill statistics versus luck statistics than these big financial firms that are way more valuable are. And he points out that it's important that you're not measuring by the wrong metrics. My favorite chapter of the book is Don't Measure by the Wrong Metrics, where he gives a bunch of different situations from a ground ball hit up the middle to a World Series poker player bragging about never getting knocked out in the first round, and shows how all these people are using the wrong data to measure. And he also talks about how financially, a lot of the times for money managers, people just look at P&Ls, profits and loss, but that is a luck-based statistic. Whereas there are skill statistics for things like risk management or stock picking, and if you use the wrong metrics, it doesn't matter how much data you have because you're always going to be measuring with the wrong yardstick. So that concept alone was kind of worth the price of admission for the book. The second thing that makes this book worth it if you are a gambler is that he gives away his model. Now, obviously, he doesn't give away his model in exact details, though there is a book called Mathletics that does give away models in exact details and the theorems needed to construct them. But Joe's model is pretty simple. He starts out with the Pythagorean theorems for win totals based on Bill James's work. Then he starts to swap in players in the lineup using Pacoda, which was Nate Silver's database of all the players and who their average age and length of career correlates with. And then he would start to use their start numbers because there's another 9,000 word essay that explains that after 35 to 40 games or so, the start of a team is about 50% of what their total wins is going to be. He also factors in interesting statistics like the fact that home field advantage is an 8% advantage over almost 100 years. Over 100 years, rather. So all that stuff's really interesting, and you can kind of construct this model. So I might kind of fake trade on this model a little bit towards the end of the baseball season or beginning of next season, just because it's a very simple model, and that sort of stuff is fun for me. And my third and final takeaway is commodities are commodities, man. I have a video where I talk about how sports gambling, if it's done intelligently with proper risk management, has a place in your portfolio. I made a lot of money when Floyd Mayweather beat Conor McGregor because what should have been a minus 2,500 fight, Conor had no chance in that fight, ended up at minus 250, 10% of the price I should have been paying to bet on Floyd, who was a boxer fighting an amateur boxer, a guy who'd never boxed before professionally. So things like that. I just made $1,000 recently on Daniel Cormier because he was a 200 plus 210 underdog to Stipe Miocic, even though he was the better fighter and faster and had the better resume. So these opportunities do exist, and understanding that commodities are commodities. Gambling is no different from picking stocks, and Joe even admits this on a page in the book. He quotes the fact that commodities are commodities. And so hearing someone who had worked in Goldman Sachs say something that I've been saying for years was very vindicating and made me feel good. So overall, I highly recommend this book if you're interested in gambling, baseball, or data science, because there's a lot of really interesting stuff in here. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing that keeps it from being a 5-star book is that, and I'm sure he was forced to do this, Joe puts in some personal chapters and some stuff about baseball that I just personally didn't care about. I don't really care about your daughter's relationship with baseball. No disrespect, but I'm here for the data and the analysis and the gambling, not the family stuff. So 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely recommend picking up Trading Bases if you're interested in any of those subjects. Be sure to like my videos, subscribe to my channel, and share these videos with your friends. Talk to you soon.